Lizzie?
I like the pairing of your talk and Bynum's talk. So can UGA, Costa Rica, do that Bynum thingy?
Yeah, I would love to. We've talked about it. The one I've intentionally not expanded our program beyond Costa Rica students because I want to certify it. I want to be able to prove that we're really offsetting what we say we're offsetting, and that's the effort for monitoring. That's the effort to try and go out and measure these trees that we've planted. And once we have enough data and can actually, where I feel comfortable saying, yeah, we're doing it, then I'd love to. We had hoped to expand this to the Atlanta airport with kiosks, and there's interest in that from the airport, but we just need to get our act together and certify our operation first.
I think that you could use a few of the things, such as trying to increase the positive impact of the students within Costa Rica while they're there, and how they're spending their money, what type of souvenirs are they bringing home with them, what kind of food are they purchasing, what kind of transportation are they using to get around Costa Rica to really try to maximize the positive benefits of their trip. And then also, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but one way to lower the emissions from one's travel is actually stay longer and have that initial flight. That it takes so much to get down there. If you stay longer within Costa Rica, I'd assume maybe your emissions will be less living there than you would be living here in Athens. Then you actually might be able to offset more of them by having a longer trip. Yes, back there.
I have a two-part question. You talked about reducing the carbon footprint by burning off the landfill methane. Do you take into account the methane generated by composting sewage waste? And also, I'm interested in hearing about the biodigester.
The first part of the question was, do we take into account the sewage waste emissions for Athens-Clarke County? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. So that falls outside of our envelope. We do have the option in our calculator tool, which is a tool developed by the University of New Hampshire, to count wastewater treatment, but it implies that we do the treatment ourselves on campus. So long story short, we're not counting that because that would fall into the Athens-Clarke County landfill, or sorry, Athens-Clarke County carbon footprint.
And on our end, we actually are counting that as part of ours. We didn't in the initial baseline because we hadn't built our digester yet. We have one small one that we tested at a farm scale that's treating pig waste. And that's actually working well up in the cool cloud forest environment. So then we decided to make a big one and hook it up to all of the student bathrooms and the public bathrooms and treat all the wastewater on campus. And that's working very well. We've actually, by capturing the methane that would have otherwise been released from our waste, we're using that to cook with as well. So now we've substituted about 1/3 of our propane for cooking with that methane that we capture, burning it and releasing CO2. The IPCC fourth report said methane is 34 times as potent of a greenhouse gas as CO2. So we feel like we've had a significant impact there, as well as reducing all the propane that we're trucking up the mountain, which is further stuff. So we're excited about that operation. And to me, the most exciting part of it is other people are seeing this and doing these and implementing these same measures. So farmers in the region, big hotel operations, a big pig farm up in a nearby community. That to me is the ROI when people ask what's the return on the investment of building a system like that. As a university, having physical infrastructure that can show people around, that's what we should be doing, right? Showing other people and influencing it. So to me, the ROI is seeing other people around implement these kind of systems based on what they learn.
Here.
Hey Jason, I saw on your chart the energy component of your pipe. Is it indexed to sort of the changing nature of CO2 emissions in that energy?
The question is, does the changing nature of probably specifically the electric grid, as far as the fuel mix for Georgia Power, yes, it does take that into account. So from year to year, the tool applies EPA numbers to the southeastern grid, and that does vary and reflects the decrease in coal and increase in natural gas in the fuel mix.
We look at that at ours too, and in Costa Rica, sadly with drought, most of our power came from hydropower, but with excessive drought conditions that we've had, they've switched from hydro to bunker fuel. So talk about extremes, but yeah, that's been one of the issues in Costa Rica too, is that.
So my question was going to be about the same as Ronnie's. Does that 8% reduction EDAs obtained include converting the on-campus power plant from coal?
The future emissions will. The calculation goes up to fiscal year 2014, so that's last June. I'm glad you asked that because removing the coal boiler from the steam plant here and replacing it with an electric boiler, which is only going to run at most probably 20 days a year at that, if that. If we take fiscal year 2014 usage and pretend that we did that coal boiler replacement during that year, it would result in about 1% overall decrease in emissions.
Solar power plans to increase more either in Costa Rica or here in campus to capture the solar energy?
Yes.
In Costa Rica, we've done it with solar, not with photovoltaic, but with solar hot water. So we've replaced all of our propane solar hot water heaters with solar hot water heaters and reduced about 60% of our propane use for water heating with that. Photovoltaics are still so expensive, and given that the grid was 80% hydro and up over 90% renewable, we figured it wasn't the smartest investment funds. We've looked at it, but financially there's a lot of other areas that we can invest in that have a bigger impact.
I can elaborate on it, yes. There are plans to put a 1 megawatt array south of campus, so it's off the main campus, but on UGA property. We haven't decided yet whether we will be applying, and Kevin, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've decided yet whether we can apply the generation from that against the usage on campus, because it's not going to be metered through us. But for context, we'll have a 1 megawatt array that's peak power during ideal conditions on a summer day. The substation that serves the main campus peaks out at about 50 megawatts. So the generation capacity at peak for that new array will be about 1/50th of the peak summertime demand on campus.
And in Savannah as well, campus in Savannah is small, but so, I mean.
Yeah, we can, sure.
Any other questions? Levi, it's time to move on?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much to